Another day, another shift. 2 in the morning. Yeah. Just finished a 14-hour shift. And I am exhausted because I have another 12-hour shift tomorrow. And exactly a week ago, I worked a 15-hour shift. And then the next day I went into a 10-hour shift. So it's been a pretty eventful week, I can't lie. And like always, when I drive back from work, I like to talk about things that have been on my mind for a little bit. So today I've been thinking, if you're around my age, so like you're early to mid 20s, or honestly, if you're a Gen Z kid, Gen Z adult, you're either one of two people, or maybe one of three people. You work every single day, you work hella hours, you take on as many shifts as possible, you're grinding your hours out, and you're just trying to make money. Or you're number two. You're unemployed, or you're like a part-timer, don't really care about working right now, and you're just trying to live your life, which both are completely fine. I've had my fair share of both, and there's goods and bads about both. Or you could be number three, and I would like to say I am number three right now, and you have a good balance of both. Fortunately, I work in a very, I wouldn't say niche, but I work in a very overlooked sector. I work in a very overlooked industry, where this industry is, depending on what sub-industry of the industry you're in, you're very busy during some seasons and you're very, very free in the others. For me, I'm extremely busy from June, July, all the way up until September to October, give or take. And the rest of the year, the rest of the months, I have absolutely no work or very little work. And thankfully, I'm a freelancer, so I do get to pick what jobs to take, what jobs I don't want. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is, if you are working, and you're one of those grinders, right? You have work, you're working very hard, you're working to better your future, you're working for a stable future. To not let your job, your work, consume your whole life. Because I feel like that's very, very easy to do nowadays. And honestly, if you're within that age range, or you're a Gen Z kid, you're put in a really difficult position right now, because you don't really know what you're working for. Unless you have a great job that pays like an insane amount and you have things figured out. But that's like the top 1%, 2% of Gen Zers, right? But for the rest of us, we're working a normal job, and that's completely fine. But this isn't like 50 or 60 years ago, where if you worked a full-time job Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, wherever it may be, within X amount of years, maybe 3 to 5 years, you can afford your first home. And then after that, you can save, you can have a partner, you can have children, you can afford your groceries, you can have a brand new car, you can afford to go on vacations every year, and you lived a overall very comfortable, stress-free life from that one income. But that's not how it is now. So we're put in a really difficult position because we don't know what we're working for. That's not the point of this video, though. My point is, don't let work consume your life. My manager, or my boss, and I, He books quarterly and annual meetings with all our employees to just talk about our personal lives, talk about work. And the good thing about him is he was in my position, all the other employees' position, not too long ago. So he knows exactly what we go through. He knows exactly what we do, and it's nothing new to him. You know, he understands what position that we're in. So he obviously tries to make light of it by talking to us, understanding our position, because work is sometimes not consistent when you need the money the most, you know? And sometimes it's insanely hectic and you just don't get time for yourself. But one thing he really emphasized with me in our most recent talk was to do things outside of work and not let work be our whole lives, because it's so easy to drown in your work. And it truly scares me when I imagine myself maybe in the near future, or maybe sometime soon, where work is just my whole life. And you can very clearly tell when someone's whole life revolves around their work, and that's like a nightmare for me, you know? It might not be a nightmare for you, but it is a nightmare for me, just thinking about that and acknowledging that, you know? You wake up, you work, you come back home, you sleep, and you do it all again. Like, that is terrifying. The only things you can ever talk about is work. Your only interests are work related. Like, that doesn't sit well with me, you know? So thankfully, a lot of my coworkers, including my manager, we're all into music. You know, we all play musical instruments. Though we're into different genres, we do play very similar instruments. And for me, my biggest hobby growing up was playing video games. And even though I play a lot less now, I still would hold it to my heart, and I still am a very big fan of games. And also guitar. The last year and a couple months, I've been getting back into guitar, and that's just been my main thing now. I love guitar, and that's just one of my favorite pastimes now. It just eliminates all thoughts in my head. I get to just focus on playing music that I fucking love, and it's one of the greatest stress reliefs of my life at the moment. You need to have something outside of work that you enjoy, whether that's going for a walk, going for a run. I know for Gen Zs right now, rock climbing, super popular. These guys are about to race. Going rock climbing, running marathons, doing a bunch of outdoor physical activities have kind of been the thing now for people of my age, people of my generation. And that's good. It's good that we're not just drowning and just putting our head down and just focusing on just work. Work. I know we all want money. I know we all want stability in our lives, but what's the point of working to live when you don't even get to live? You know what I mean? Put all this time into work for money, for stability, yeah. It's survival, you know, you can't really blame someone, right? But in exchange, you're throwing your whole life away. You know, I go on Twitter, I go on TikTok, you see a lot of people say, oh, 9 to 5s aren't 9 to 5s, they're 8 to 6s because you gotta account for commuting, X, Y, and Z. And honestly, there's truth to that, you know? Sometimes it's a little exaggerated, but there is truth to that, because what do you do when you get home from such a long day? You're just tired. Could be mentally, could be physically, could be both. And even for me today, I started work at 11. It's 2:22. So I'm probably not going to be home for another 15, 20 minutes. So I'm going to be home at 3 a.m. That's my entire day gone. But, like I said earlier, I get to choose what days I work. So I'm completely fine with this. I'm not working six days to a full week of my life. I'm working more 2 to 3 to 4, and when it gets busy, maybe 5 to 7 days a week. But that's out of choice, because if I don't take the opportunity now, then I miss it in the winter. I don't get to work at all, or I get to work very little in the winter. And in the winter, I have so much time to rest. So much time to rest that by the time it's summer again, all I can think about is working and making money. So, you make a little bit of sacrifices. You get to live a little during parts of the year, parts of the seasons, but parts of the other seasons, the other half, you're working. You're working. That's life, man. You can't have everything perfect, because if it was perfect, I wouldn't need to work at all and I'd just make money, you know what I mean? But this is something that I'm okay with. This is something that I have accepted over time. And that's why I'm so driven to work these crazy long shifts. I'm so driven to put my foot forward and be proactive, As a freelancer, you can just get lazy and not take any shifts. Because fuck it, I'm tired, right? I don't want to do anything, whatever. Okay, don't make any money. But what happens when you need the money? You don't have the money. But maybe you take 2 or 3 shifts a week. Cool. Maybe you take all 7 shifts a week. Shit. You make more than the average person. I'm telling you this right now. But my point is, you need to figure out what you want. What do you want? Do you want to be busy? I know a lot of us want to be busy, or not busy, and make a lot of money, but we have to just really be realistic with ourselves. And that's why I want to talk about this, because I feel like a lot of people are kind of trapped into thinking that the only way to make money is to throw away 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, to work a full-time job. And yeah, that's been the staple for the longest time, but now it's just not. It's different. Maybe you work 3 or 4 full days a week. Because if you're working those 5 9 to 5 days anyways, you're going to be tired those 5 9 to 5 days. Where, hey, you could just work more hours 3-4 times a week. Get maybe 3 or 4 days off. Hey, I don't know. It's just an option, It takes a little bit more effort, because you're not just applying somewhere and they're like, okay, here's your schedule, you do this and that, and then you just fall into that kind of routine. Things are going to always be different when you're freelancing. You're going to deal with a lot of new issues that is a part of your work that you have to solve. But hey, that's the charm of what I do. The problems that I have to deal with are always new. I'm always in a new environment. I'm always dealing with new people, and things always feel fresh. Yeah, it's a really long day. My whole day's gone. I'll never get these days back. But it's a skill that I really want to hone. It's a skill that I take a lot of pride in having and being proficient at. So I'm going to keep doing it, Maybe down the road it leads me somewhere else. Maybe down the road I switch to something completely unrelated, but at least I have this skill set. So maybe you're not interested in the work, but you gotta think about the skills you develop along the way as well. That's honestly all I have to talk about. I don't even know what I'm gonna title this, because I feel like I just went in one direction, went too deep when I don't even know. My point is just find the balance that works for you in life right now, because it's not the same as it was 10, 20, 30, 60 years ago. There's a lot more options now. You're not limited to a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And who knows? Because even I don't know what I'm working for, you know? My general goal is to build a financially stable future. But we don't know what the future holds for us. I don't know. I'm just saving money. I think it's really nice to see my portfolio and just my bank account, my numbers go up every month. It's that simple. I still try to enjoy my money, but I also try my hardest to save, to put it away somewhere where it'll work for me, because once you step out and work a hard job, I don't want to say my job is hard. I'm not on an oil rig, or I'm not in the fucking coal mines. My life is not in danger, but I would still say my job is very mentally and physically demanding, because you need to be physically capable, but at the same time have a lot of technical knowledge. Maybe I'll get into my job one of these days, but that's pretty much how it is. You need to have both. So it can be really draining, and it's hard. I don't know where I was going with this, actually. Fuck. Oh yeah, I remember. Once I started working and having this as my main source of income, I realized that I worked so hard for this money. I don't want to just let it burn when I spend it on X, Y, and Z, you know? And shit, maybe if that money was triple, I would be more okay with spending more, but those hours don't come easy, man. Those hours do not come easy, which is why I taught myself financial. I mean, I'm not even going to get into this. I'm not even going to get into it. All right, video's done. Don't let work consume your life. Find something you like to do outside of work. Going out for walks, hanging out with people that you love, picking up a new hobby. You could even watch TV shows, animes, anything that gets you out of that work mode. Even if it doesn't get you out of that work mode, just do something outside of work. Anything. Don't let work be the only thing controlling your life. Don't let that be the only driving factor. The future we were promised is not here anymore. All we have is each other, because who understands my struggle more than someone that's also struggling the same way that I am? And I know a lot of people my age are in the same position as me, you know? Anyways, try to enjoy life. Work hard. Play hard. My brain is mush, and I still have another 12 hours to do. I have another 12-hour shift to clock into in less than 12 hours. Let's go, baby. Anyways, I don't know if I'll have stuff to talk about tomorrow, but we'll see. We'll see. Dude, I look like a fucking crazy person. This angle is not it. Oh my goodness. This lighting is horrible. It's just my face. You can't even see what's outside. Yeah, whatever. Good night, everybody.